Welcome to History Explained, where we illuminate the past to better understand our present. I'm your guide to your daily journey through the past to empower the future. Today is Sunday, July 6, 2025. As we do every Sunday, we're exploring a revolutionary innovation that fundamentally changed how humans live, work, and interact with their environment. Today, we turn our attention to penicillin, one of the most important medical discoveries in human history. Discovered accidentally by Alexander Fleming in 1928 and developed into a practical medicine during World War II, penicillin became the first true antibiotic, revolutionizing the treatment of bacterial infections and saving millions of lives. What makes penicillin particularly remarkable is how this chance discovery transformed medicine from an often helpless profession into one capable of curing previously fatal diseases. This breakthrough launched the antibiotic era and fundamentally altered human life expectancy and quality of life worldwide. So let's explore the development of this life-saving innovation, examining Fleming's accidental discovery, the scientific efforts to develop it into a practical medicine, its crucial role during World War II, and its lasting impact on global health and medicine. The story of penicillin begins with Alexander Fleming, a Scottish bacteriologist working at St. Mary's Hospital in London. Fleming had served as a medical officer during World War I, where he witnessed countless soldiers die from infected wounds that today would be easily treatable. This experience motivated Fleming's research into antimicrobial substances. He was particularly interested in lysozyme, an enzyme found in tears and saliva that could kill certain bacteria. While lysozyme proved effective against some microorganisms, it was ineffective against the dangerous bacteria that caused serious infections. The pivotal discovery occurred in September 1928, when Fleming returned from vacation to find his laboratory somewhat disorganized. A petri dish containing Staphylococcus bacteria had been accidentally contaminated with a mold, and Fleming noticed that the bacteria around the mold had been killed. Rather than simply discarding the contaminated dish, Fleming's scientific curiosity led him to investigate further. He identified the mold as belonging to the genus Penicillium and discovered that it produced a substance that could kill various disease-causing bacteria. Fleming named this substance penicillin and conducted initial experiments to test its properties. He found that penicillin was effective against many dangerous bacteria, including those causing pneumonia, scarlet fever, and meningitis. Even more importantly, it appeared to be non-toxic to human cells. However, Fleming faced significant challenges in developing penicillin into a practical medicine. The substance was unstable, difficult to purify, and produced in very small quantities by the mold. Despite publishing his findings in 1929, Fleming was unable to overcome these technical obstacles. For over a decade, penicillin remained primarily a laboratory curiosity. Fleming continued his research but lacked the resources and expertise needed to develop the discovery into a clinically useful drug. The scientific community showed little initial interest in his findings. The breakthrough came in 1939 when a team at Oxford University, led by Howard Florey and Ernst Chain, decided to investigate penicillin's potential. Florey was an Australian pathologist, while Chain was a German Jewish biochemist who had fled Nazi Germany. Working with a dedicated team of researchers, Florey and Chain developed new methods for growing the Penicillium mold and extracting penicillin in larger quantities. They also conducted crucial experiments demonstrating penicillin's effectiveness in treating infections in laboratory animals. The first human trials began in early 1941 with police constable Albert Alexander, who had developed a severe infection after scratching his eye on a rose thorn. Initially, penicillin treatment appeared successful, but when supplies ran out, the infection returned and Alexander died. Despite this tragic outcome, subsequent trials with sufficient penicillin supplies proved remarkably successful. Patients with life-threatening infections recovered completely, demonstrating penicillin's extraordinary therapeutic potential. However, production remained a major challenge. The Oxford team could produce only tiny amounts of penicillin using traditional laboratory methods. The outbreak of World War II made large-scale production both urgent and difficult. British pharmaceutical companies, already overwhelmed by wartime demands, were unable to scale up penicillin production significantly. The Oxford team realized they needed assistance from the United States, which had greater industrial capacity and resources. In 1941, Florey and his colleague Norman Heatley traveled to America to seek support for penicillin development. They found enthusiastic reception from American researchers and government officials who recognized the drug's potential military applications. The U.S. government launched a massive effort to develop industrial penicillin production, involving pharmaceutical companies, universities, and government laboratories. This collaboration represented one of the first examples of large-scale scientific industrial cooperation. American researchers developed new strains of Penicillium mold that produced much higher yields of penicillin. They also pioneered deep fermentation techniques using large steel tanks that could produce penicillin in industrial quantities. By 1943, American factories were producing enough penicillin to treat all Allied military casualties. The drug proved extraordinarily effective in treating wound infections, pneumonia, and other bacterial diseases that had previously killed thousands of soldiers. Penicillin's impact during World War II was dramatic. Military medical officers reported infection rates dropping significantly once adequate penicillin supplies became available. The drug saved countless lives and reduced the time soldiers spent in hospitals recovering from infections. The success of penicillin during the war demonstrated the importance of antibiotics in modern medicine and spurred research into other antimicrobial substances. This launched the golden age of antibiotic discovery, with researchers identifying numerous other life-saving drugs. After the war, penicillin became widely available for civilian use. The drug revolutionized treatment of common infections like pneumonia, which had been a leading cause of death. Bacterial diseases that had terrorized humanity for centuries became easily treatable. The impact on child mortality was particularly dramatic. Before antibiotics, bacterial infections were major killers of children worldwide. Penicillin and subsequent antibiotics reduced childhood mortality rates dramatically and contributed to population growth in the post-war period. Penicillin also enabled advances in surgery and medical procedures. Operations that had been too risky due to infection concerns became routine once effective antibiotics were available to prevent and treat post-surgical infections. The drug's development established important principles for modern pharmaceutical research. The collaboration between academic researchers, government agencies, and private industry became a model for developing complex medical treatments. However, the widespread use of penicillin also revealed new challenges. Some patients developed allergic reactions to the drug, and resistant bacterial strains began appearing as early as the 1940s. These problems foreshadowed later issues with antibiotic resistance. Despite these challenges, penicillin's impact on human health cannot be overstated. Life expectancy increased significantly in countries where antibiotics became widely available, and diseases that had been death sentences became minor inconveniences. The economic impact was equally significant. Reduced illness and mortality increased productivity and economic growth. The pharmaceutical industry expanded dramatically, becoming a major economic sector in developed countries. Penicillin also had important social implications. The availability of effective treatments for sexually transmitted diseases changed social behaviors and reduced the stigma associated with certain infections. The development of penicillin established important precedents for medical research and drug development. The requirement for rigorous testing, standardized production methods, and safety monitoring became standard practices in pharmaceutical development. Modern antibiotic development continues to build on the foundation established by penicillin research. While new antibiotics are more sophisticated, they follow basic principles established during penicillin's development in the 1940s. The discovery also highlighted the importance of basic scientific research. Fleming's initial observation was purely academic, with no immediate practical application. However, this fundamental research eventually led to one of medicine's greatest breakthroughs. Today, antibiotic resistance poses serious challenges to the continued effectiveness of penicillin and other antibiotics. Bacteria have evolved mechanisms to survive antibiotic treatment, creating superbugs that are difficult or impossible to treat with existing drugs. This resistance problem has renewed appreciation for Fleming's original discovery and emphasized the need for continued research into new antimicrobial agents. Scientists are exploring alternatives including bacteriophages, immunotherapy, and novel chemical approaches. The COVID-19 pandemic has also highlighted the continued importance of antibiotics in treating secondary bacterial infections in seriously ill patients. Penicillin and related drugs remain essential tools in modern medicine despite being over 80 years old. Penicillin's legacy extends beyond medicine into scientific methodology and international cooperation. The collaborative effort to develop and produce penicillin during World War II demonstrated how scientific research could be organized to address urgent global challenges. The drug's development also illustrated how chance discoveries could have profound implications when combined with systematic scientific investigation. Fleming's accidental observation became world-changing through the dedicated efforts of many researchers and institutions. Penicillin stands as one of humanity's most important innovations, transforming medicine and saving countless lives worldwide. From Fleming's accidental discovery to modern antibiotic research, this breakthrough continues to influence how we approach infectious disease and medical research. The story of penicillin reminds us that scientific progress often comes from unexpected sources and that the most important discoveries may seem insignificant initially. It also demonstrates how collaboration between researchers, governments, and industry can solve seemingly impossible challenges. Thank you for joining us for this exploration of penicillin's discovery and development. Next week, we'll be back with our This Day in History episode examining the significant events that occurred on July 7th throughout history. If you enjoyed this journey through history, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell. What aspects of penicillin's impact on medicine and society do you find most significant? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, I'm your guide for History Explained, where we believe that understanding yesterday is the key to navigating tomorrow.